Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Dimitris Tosidis and I'm editor at team. I'm going to speak about Kubernetes, and this is for the Cloud Native Nanodegree. I'm going to share my screen right now. So this is today's presentation. It is the container orchestration with Kubernetes. So in a previous session, I have shown about the containers. So you got a lot of containers. What you need is the orchestration. So the most famous tool for the orchestration is the Kubernetes right now. So this is, again, my name, Dimitris Tosidis for the Cloud Native Nanodegree. Let's go further. This is going to be a short description of the Kubernetes. Is the first part of the series of Kubernetes sessions, and I'm going to show only what's going on with the framework inside the Kubernetes and not more details. And so we got only two parts in this presentation. The first part is the Kubernetes, the container orchestrator framework. So the first part is about what is Kubernetes, how it works, how it can be used, so on. And the second part is the kubectl, which is a command line of the Kubernetes. As the name describes, it is a Kubernetes control, and it is a command line which you can manage and control your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, and in general, the Kubernetes component. So let's see the first. Let's go to the first slide. So as you can see here, the framework. Here's an overview of the Kubernetes and the whole architecture of the Kubernetes. And as you can see, there are two here groups of things, let's say. The first is the Kubernetes nodes. Here are the machine workers. So here are the machines that are running and they are having deployments, and they have specific capacity and CPU and so on. And as you can see here, there are several nodes that are running. And here is the Kubernetes control plane. Here are some components of the Kubernetes which are managing these nodes. Okay, so you got here three nodes, let's say. And the first part of the Kubernetes control plane is the kube API server. This is the API server, which, as you can see, communicates with the nodes. So the nodes are communicated through the API server with the whole control plane, Kubernetes control plane. And they are sending the situation, they are sending what they are doing and what is happening. And the Kubernetes control plane can manage the nodes. So this is the first part of it. The second of it is the etcd. Here you have several nodes which are included inside a cluster. So this is a group of nodes. The cluster is a group of nodes which has a specific characteristics. And the cluster is communicated through API server, and the cluster data are stored inside the etcd. So this is the component which are all the data of the cluster data are stored. The third component, very important, is the kube scheduler. So the kube scheduler schedules the pods. So the pods are inside the nodes, and they are hosting the deployment. So this schedules the pods inside the nodes according to the nodes capacities, and the pods are scheduled through the kube scheduler and also the jobs. So if you have a new pod, this is going to be assigned to a node, and this is to be done from the kube scheduler. So this is inside the node. You got after that the kube controller manager. So the kube controller manager manages the nodes, so according to their capacities and their capabilities, if they are up and down and so on. So if a node is up or down, it's going to send a signal to the API server, and the kube controller will take action for that. So this manages the actual nodes, let's say. And the last but not least component is the cloud controller manager. So the cloud controller manager is responsible for the communication outside of the Kubernetes control plane with the cloud provider. So the cloud provider provides infrastructure resources, which are going to be managed from the Kubernetes to set up the deployments. And this gives here the cloud provider the infrastructure and the capacities, storage capacities, and CPU in general. And this is going to set up the actual infrastructure, which is going to be the nodes, which are set up after that from the controller manager and so on. So this is a decoupled manner to communicate with the cloud provider. So this is going to communicate only with the cloud is going to communicate only with the part that is responsible for it, and not for the other parts. So this is a very clear architecture, which everything communicates only with one source and so on. And at the end of everything is the API server, and to set up the nodes and inside the nodes what's happening. At the end, inside the cluster, you got the nodes, and for every node, there is a kubelet. So this is an agent which sends the messages to the control plane, which sends the situation that is going on with the node, if it is up, if it is down, and so on. So it communicates with the control plane. And after that is the kube proxy. This is all the services that are provided in order for the deployment to communicate with the outside world, with the networks, okay, with the internet, for example. So let's say services, there is specific resources like service, like ingress. All this has to do with the kube proxy, which are exposing the nodes, the deployments, let's say, and the deployment inside of the nodes, and they are forward important for one. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So this is about the kubectl, the second part of the presentation. How this was the framework, how the framework is managed from us. So it's going to be managed with the kubectl, how to manage Kubernetes with the kubectl. So you got here the command line, the kubectl, and you got here the API server, as I have shown before. And the kubectl, you run some functions inside it, and you send a message, a function call, let's say. I need you to do something to the API server. The API server responds to sure, tell me what to do. And the kubectl sends again a call. Here is what I need to be done. And the API server responds to the okay, I will organize that for you. So you send a function call, and the API server organize it and send the right things to the right component. Okay, and after that to the backend Kubernetes, which is written like that. I need this to be done. API server sends to the backend Kubernetes, and the backend Kubernetes are scheduling the resources, the jobs, and so on. And this is what's happening with communication inside the Kubernetes. As you can see here, the communication is decoupled. It is very simple, and it's secure in this manner. So the backend Kubernetes are doing the jobs like that, and there's only one communication from the API server to the Kubernetes, to the backend Kubernetes service components. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So to manage the kubectl configuration, as I have shown before, there is a cluster, and the clusters are the main parts of the functional parts of the Kubernetes, and they are described inside the kubeconfig file. So inside the kubeconfig file is a configuration of the Kubernetes. Okay, so here are all the clusters. I've described all the clusters. So according to every distribution, there is a specific location which you can find this kubeconfig file. Of course, if you want not to search for that, you can go to the kubectl command line and to write down kubectl config, and this finds for you the right path, and the result comes up. According to that, the kubectl file is like that. The API version here, and here are all the clusters. So for here are all the clusters in this inside the clusters here, inside this key. So you got here, for example, one cluster which has a specific name, GCP cluster, and after that you got a server, which here the cluster is hosted, let's say, and you can communicate it through that, and it has a URL here and so on. K8s, for example, if the distribution is K8s, and here you got the certificate authority data. This is data that authorize the cluster to be accessed from some specific people, some specific users. And this data is omitted. It is a very large string. And after that, you got the contexts. The contexts are, you got actually users So you got three main parts inside the kube config file. You got the cluster, you got the users. So I don't have a specific user here. And the most important thing is the contexts. So the contexts are the connection between the users and the cluster. Okay, so the users have a specific name and authorization data and so on. It's like the clusters. And the context here has a cluster here, which is the GCP cluster. Yeah. A user, which is this user. Okay. A namespace. It may have a namespace and so on. And this is the name of the specific context. So this is unique connection between the cluster and the user, and is provided through the context with the name GCP cluster, let's say again. Okay. So this is how the things are connected inside the Kubernetes, that the classes, the users, and at the end the contexts that are connecting these two things. Because you have a specific authorized users in order to access the specific clusters, and you got certification data that are providing this access to them. So let's go to see this function live. I have here and I have set up here a Kubernetes engine, and I have here a cluster. Let's see what's going on. As you can see here in my in my Kubernetes, there are this is the config file, which sets here these clusters. So I got here only one cluster, which has the data is omitted here. The rest is on I didn't want to show them. You got here the name, which is the default cluster, and you got here this server, which has this port opened in order to expose the cluster. After that, right down here, you got the users. The user has the name default is the default user, and here is the user, the certification data of the users, and here's the client, the key to which plays the role of the token for the users, and so on. And here's the context. So you got here the context default again, which connects the cluster default and the user default. Okay. So again, this is the kubectl file, which has all the clusters and provides access to the clusters according to the users. Let's go further to our functions. So you got the clusters, how you check the status of the cluster and of the cluster components in general. You got here, for example, this function, kubectl get CS, get components. Let's go to type it down. So with this function, you get the situation of the components. So this is deprecated, but I liked this function a lot, and I wanted to include it. So you got here two components, as I have shown before. You got the scheduler, okay, and you got here the control manager. These are two components that this Kubernetes has them already. And you got here the status, both of them are healthy, and both the message is okay, and no error right here. Okay, let's go to see the next function. The next function is, as you have seen before, we got the clusters. And according to these clusters, there are some information around the situation and so on. So you get this result with the cluster info, kubectl cluster info. Let's see what's going on with our cluster. So you got the Kubernetes control plane, which is running and is exposed to this port again, as before. You got some add-ons on this server. So you got the core DNS, which, as you can see here, is the same, the local host with this port 6443. And you got here this proxy, which is the service, which is the expose this core DNS add-on. And you got here some metrics, an add-on that's about the metric server. And you got here again the same local host and the same port. And you got here this out in order to see some metrics around that. Let's go back. After that, we have seen that we got the cluster. We got that the cluster is you got here that there are some components that are healthy. You got here some information on the cluster. So what's inside the cluster is the nodes. So you can get information for the nodes with this function again. As you can see here, we got Kubectl. After that is the actual function get, and after that is the resource type. Okay, so the nodes are a kind of a resource. You can get this information with get node or get no. Okay, let's write down that. As you can see here, get nodes. There is only one node with the name localhost. The status of it is ready, and the role of it is master. Okay, in control plane. The age of it is this is made before 24 hours, and the version of it is that. Okay, so you got only one node as a result of it. Let's go back. If you want some more information around your nodes, you can type this function. Let's go again. So you got kubectl get nodes, and this time you got a flag /o for the output, and I'm sorry, -o for the output, and the flag and the white parameter. And as you can see here, you get more information around that. You get also the internet IP, which is exposed. External IP doesn't exist. The operating system image is the open source. Okay, the kernel version of the image is that, and you got also container runtime here, container B. Okay. Let's go to the last function of this tutorial. Kubectl describe node. So you got here the kubectl again describes the function node is the type of the resource, and here you got the name, the resource name, the node name. Okay. Copy paste again, and actually you got here the localhost. So I'm writing down. So right now I would like to see what's going on, the information around the node, the specific node, the localhost node. And as you can see, there are plenty of information. Up. So the name of it is localhost. The role is master again. We have seen this before. These are some labels around the operating system and so on. This is, for example, K3S distribution of the Kubernetes. I have this set up. I have set up this distribution, which is a lightweight but the production Kubernetes version, and so on. You got here the Linux, which is a distribution of this version, and so on. Some annotations around that. And you got here the creation time, which is shows that I have done it in the 6th April of 2023, this specific time. And you got here more information around the conditions. So you can see here the memory, you can see here the disk, and so on, the PID, and so on. And as you can see here, this PID instances, and as you can see here, the messages for the situation. The Kubernetes has sufficient memory, so the Kubernetes is the agent which sends the signals and gives us here the messages. Kubernetes has sufficient memory available, has no disk pressure, has sufficient PID available, sufficient instances, and so on. Let's go further. Internal IP is that. You can see here also the capacity, the CPU is 4, and so on. Ephemeral storage is this kilobyte. And as you can see here, the pods, you can have 110 pods, and so on. Allocatable, as you can see here. Furthermore, is the system information. You have some IPs here. Again, the operating system image and the system. These are also very important. Pod sider and the pod siders. These are the IPs that are available for the pods. We will talk about the pods in the next session. And of course, these are the namespaces. These are the pods that are here. You have these pods with these names, and these are the CPU usages, CPU limits, and the memory requests, and so on of these pods. These are the namespace. We're going to speak about that in the next session. Allocate the resources again. And at the end, you got these events. So as you can see here, there's all the events that happened from yesterday in this in the Kubernetes. and for this cluster. So you got here the kube proxy, and after that the kubelet is beginning the events, the actions which are illustrated in these events. Node localhost status is now, and so on. Kubelet again, node controller, and so on until now. Before some minutes, register node, and so on. Node localhost event, and so on. Rebooted, as you can see. Okay, so the start here are the Kubernetes rebooted, ready, starting again, rebooted, ready, and so on, because I am closing and I'm opening the Kubernetes, and the Kubernetes is up and down always. So this is the whole thing that I would like to share. So this was the presentation for today. I have two sources to show. This is the Kubernetes component. The first one is from the Kubernetes documentation. The Kubernetes documentation is very rich. You can read many things and learn many things more. And of course, the rancher, how to manage Kubernetes with kubectl from in the SUSE internet website, and so on. So thank you for watching. We talk about Kubernetes in next sessions even more. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you again in the next session.